This is the Under the Ring Report. And now, the guys who make wrestling podcasting too sweet. John the Flesh Wound and Cousin Tom.
And welcome to another edition of the Under the Ring Report. Thanks a lot for joining us. With me as always, Tom, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying the great outdoors late in the evening. It's nice, beautiful fall. Well, it's not fall yet, but it feels like fall. Can't complain.
And we're about a week out from All In and Starrcast coming down. So that's kind of what you talked about, and you would like to explain or just kind of chat about both events and our thoughts and stuff and what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone that's a hardcore wrestling fan knows how big an event All In's going to be, or at least the buildup has been. But the one thing that I wasn't anticipating, I was really excited for All In.
Yeah.
We jumped on that quick. We said that we wanted to get in on it and get tickets, and we were one of the lucky ones that did. But the thing that kind of came around was Starrcast, and it started small. If you think about it, it started small, quiet, and just slowly built. Whoever's in charge of the marketing, whether it's Conrad Thompson or a group of people or what, are marketing geniuses, in my opinion, because it was a slow build. It started off as a podcast convention, and then it's like, oh, and by the way, we're going to have this person, and then tomorrow we're going to announce this person, and then this person, and now you're up to, I don't even know how many wrestlers. I think last I looked, it was 147 wrestlers are going to be there for meet and greets, all these shows. So it became like a destination event instead of just like a local, hey, there's a group of nerds hanging out at the Hyatt Hotel.
That's a good way to look at it. I get what you're saying. I mean, to me, here's the main thing. And the main reason that I'm really excited for All In first and foremost is WrestleMania has now kind of decided that it's kind of like the Super Bowl. They go where all the big tax breaks are. They go where all the big dollars are, more of destinations. And unfortunately, that means places like Chicago won't see another WrestleMania in quite a while. And, being here in the northern part of Wisconsin, probably the closest, maybe at some time, will be the new Minnesota Vikings Stadium in Minnesota. Don't know when that'll happen because I think right now they've got at least the next 2 WrestleManias already booked. And you're the same way though too. I mean, probably nothing coming to St. Louis, probably nothing coming to Nashville either. And that's the thing is right now, this is the biggest wrestling event happening in Chicago in the last 5 to 7 years easily. Besides, the WWE, they throw everybody a bone. They do their SummerSlam pay-per-views. They do those, but they're not on that WrestleMania scale. And right now, this All In with Starrcast, it has that WrestleMania feel because you've got 4 days of meet and greets, different seminars, and it's a who's who of wrestling history that's going to be out and about besides the actual wrestling events, which is going on. And there's small events also going on Thursday, Friday night, there'll be wrestling shows. So that's why it feels so big. And that's why when they announced it, I'm like, we got to go because this is the closest we're going to get for some time.
Well, and I'm really excited about not only the meet and greets and those type of things, but I don't know if you've paid any attention to the memorabilia that they're going to have on display.
Yeah.
Everything from NWA World Title on down. And there's supposed to be quite a few surprises there, but that's the kind of thing that interests me as a lifelong fan, going back to, I started watching probably in the early 80s, a lifelong fan and getting to see some of the stuff that you grew up on and to have it there. Where else can you go and get a chance to wear Ric Flair's robe? I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to say, I wore Ric Flair's robe, get your picture taken? I mean, they got everybody hook, line, and sinker. They're dangling the giant carrot out in front of all us wrestling fans, and they know we're going to pay for the experience. I've already set aside my money to get a villain broken foam finger so I can whoop whoop during All In.
You're such a dork. Oh my God.
Yeah, but I was kind of just going through, they revamped their website the other day, made it a little cleaner, a little easier to navigate. And I was going through there, and I've looked at it before. I've been on there to order different things that we're going to do this weekend. I just started scrolling through there and looking at things that they've added since the last time I was on.
Yeah.
The latest one was they're going to have a little sneak peek of a docuseries that they did on the death of Bruiser Brody.
Yes, with Dutch Mantel, they were there too talking about it.
Yeah. And I mean, for wrestling fans and wrestling historians, I mean, the death of Bruiser Brody is one of those things that I don't think a lot of people outside of wrestling really understand what happened. And I know they're going to show it on Viceland, which I know I get on DirecTV. I don't know about you.
No, I don't on PSVU, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, I might have a chance to watch more of it, but you're talking about a Hall of Fame worthy caliber wrestler / legend that was pretty much brutally murdered in a shower in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And the guy that supposedly did it got off scot-free. I mean, and that's just one of the things going on. To think that there's 4 nights and we're not even going to get to Thursday. Like, we're not even going to get there till Friday.
I'm looking at probably getting there around 11 or so in the morning because I've got the meet and greet with everybody or whatever at noon for the pause. So that'll be out of the way. And then pretty much my Friday until you show up, I'm going to try and sit in on a few of these different things. Because I'll try and catch the sneak peek of that movie. I also want to try and see a little bit of What Happens When, the Monday Live, Tony Schiavone's podcast. That's going to be going on. And, there's other things going on. Besides that, who knows? I may just walk around and check out everybody that's there and go, wow, this is awesome. Because 6 o'clock, you've got an all-in weigh-in and press conference. And you'll be hopefully there by then.
Yeah, that's my plan. I am hoping to not break any land speed records in order to get there by then, but that's my plan. I've got to unfortunately work that morning, but I do have that weekend free, so go into my good deed and then
that's going to be fun. The roast of Bruce Pritchard should be fun that night, and then we can sit and watch Jeff Jarrett or Bruce Pritchard sing karaoke later that night.
Not only that type of stuff, but when I started looking at the list of names, we've already thrown our money together, and we're going to get to meet some people that are interesting to us. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, J.J. Dillon. I know you mentioned Terry Funk, and we hadn't pulled the trigger on that one yet, but we're going to get to meet the Bucks, and you're meeting Cody, and then the NWO reunion, we're doing that. There's all kinds of things for fans.
Rey Mysterio.
Oh yeah, and we're going to meet Rey Mysterio too. I mean, that guy's been around. But then I started looking at all the up and coming talent that is just amazing when you see the list. A lot of people know some of these names from Lucha Underground, but now that they're on Impact, and Impact's starting to pick up a little momentum, people like Brian Cage and Pentagon Jr. and I haven't even touched on any of the New Japan guys, but just to get all those guys in. And then I've been hearing rumors where now Cody and the Bucks are getting messages from people like, hey, I'm free. I'll show up.
Yeah. Well, and that's always going to happen no matter what. I mean, once people find out you've got a good thing going, then all these folks come out of the woodwork and want to be a part of it, and hopefully with those guys, they don't cave, because they sold that out without even announcing one match. And I think with what the card has shaped up to be already, it's going to be a great show, because for me, the big thing for me, I wanted to see Okada wrestle live, and I wanted to see Kenny Omega wrestle live. Those were the two that I really, that was the two driving forces to hurry up, because, as well as I do, it's hard. Okada is usually over in California is where New Japan has been as they've started their slow progression, and granted, he will be at Madison Square Garden, but this is in the Midwest. You get a chance to catch him. And Kenny sporadically with Ring of Honor, but not a whole lot in the Midwest either. So it's cool to catch two of those guys wrestle live. It's a chance to see wrestlers that I've had a chance to watch from New Japan and from Ring of Honor that you haven't had a chance to catch them live. So that's the cool part about it. And like you say, Pentagon Jr., even the rest of the Bullet Club, having a chance to catch all those guys live, it's great. A chance to watch Cody wrestle. And it'd be kind of cool because I watched his dad wrestle 20 years ago. So a chance to see him live is kind of cool.
I've seen Cody wrestle, but it was several years ago at a WWE house show back when he was ravishing Cody Rhodes. He was coming out and putting the paper bags on fans in the audience and stuff. So, he's grown quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
It's completely different than when I saw him, I don't know. It's probably been 6 years ago. I'm looking forward to, I guess this would be the 6-man tag match with the Bucks and Ibushi versus Mysterio and Rey Fénix and that Bandito, which I looked up some YouTube on Bandito just to get familiar with him.
Bandito could be fun. Yeah, it looks interesting to say the least. So
yeah, it looks like it's one of those matches I already know that we're going to see something that we haven't seen before. You just know what's going to happen with those guys in the ring. I'm looking forward to that. I'm just amazed. Like you said, they sold out a 10,000 seat show in less than 30 minutes. The only thing that was announced was the NWA World Title will be up for grabs.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was just like a groundswell. hey, we need to get in on this because this is going to be something major.
Well, what I think it really is, it's a lot of the older wrestling fans, and you know what? Just my own personal opinion. A lot of these folks that grew up in the Attitude Era or came back to wrestling when the NWO and the Attitude Era came up in the late 90s.
Right.
And WWE does rinse and repeat with their fans. We know that. I mean, we grew up as 80s kids and we were fed the children things for kiddies by the toys. Well, after they got through with the Attitude Era, that's when they started back on kids again. And a lot of those fans that were fans of the Attitude Era and NWO felt lost. You know, they may watch the product, but they still aren't being serviced how they were before. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think that's how things like New Japan, Ring of Honor, even what Impact's doing now, and all the other types of wrestling that is available on the Fight app with Twitch, they are going after some of those fans that are not satisfied with what the WWE's doing. And I think that's partly why this does so well. I mean, being the Elite, the YouTube show, there is parts of them of the Bullet Club that appeal to folks who like the NWO. They're kind of that same kind of smart-ass, heelish group, but not so much.
Right. You know, in today's current market with WWE, because of the way they're aligned corporately and being publicly traded, they frown upon any blading. So what that means, if people who don't know, you know, you see a guy get busted open and there's blood. They're trying to prohibit performers from doing that anymore. I didn't care for a lot of blood in matches, but when you have a street fight or a last man standing, it serves a purpose. You know, you always hear the term the crimson mask. It's not a lot of blood, but just a little bit. Like the SummerSlam pay-per-view, you know, AJ Styles got busted open. That I'm pretty sure was not planned. I'm pretty sure that was a headshot to the steel ringside steps that wasn't supposed to happen. But look what it did to that match. A little bit of blood. It didn't really affect him at all, but just the sight of it, and then seeing his reaction to Samoa Joe, that turned that match. That match was already good, and then it just took it to a whole nother stratosphere.
Yep.
All with a little bit of blood, and they weren't using cheese graters and doing any of this, you know, hokey deathmatch stuff. It was just a little bit of blood. 20 years ago, that was a common occurrence. A last man standing match, chair shots, which I know, you know, they're staying away from the head and stuff.
Yeah, and I agree there.
Now you don't have that. And as someone who grew up watching it, to see someone use a chair on somebody anymore, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he got away with that, you know? And I don't know, it's just, I guess, as someone who grew up on the product and saw that quite a bit, I notice it. I don't know that my kids notice it, but I notice it, and I notice
they don't know because they didn't grow up with it. That's the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You grew up with it because, like I was saying, as kids in the 80s, we grew up with a cartoon hero type of wrestling. And there's a reason that once we graduated from high school, we were done with it because it was so stupid and over the top, it wasn't worth watching. And the only reason we came back to wrestling was because they decided to add a slice of reality to it, you know, and kind of give you a reality TV show / thing going on with cool heels. And that's what brought us back. And the problem of it now is that they curb that a little. It's not as blatant. It's not some over the top stuff. And sometimes I think the older fans just kind of get bored.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because someone who has a younger son who likes to watch current product, I fall in that category. I don't want to bash them because it can get that way with anything. After you've been around it for so long, there's always that mental fatigue or burnout where you're just like, this again?
Yeah.
You know, that type of deal. But, you know, getting back to what we were starting on, just that little bit of blood and stuff makes a huge difference. And with these young guys coming into All In, they all have no problem with something like that going on. There's no one dictating, hey, you can't do this, and you can't do this, and you can't say this, and you can't say this. It's everything goes. And that's the part that I like about it.
And that is what's appealing. That's why folks are out there looking for something different. And it's nothing to go against what WWE's doing. I mean, WWE is catering to the fans that they know they have. They're making their money, just like you said. Your son is a big fan. That's how they're making their money, because no matter what you think of it, if he wants to go see a show, you're going to take him, you know, or if he wants to watch that pay-per-view, you're going to watch it with him. It's just that you're not sitting down going, well, I can't wait for blah, blah, blah. That's not, for your own personal enjoyment, that's why you're going to All In, and he had no interest in going.
Yeah, well, and he hadn't been exposed. Like, he's a WWE kid. He hasn't watched any of Ring of Honor. He hasn't watched any. Well, I take that back. He's watched some New Japan with me. So he knows Omega and Okada and those guys, but he wasn't interested in going to see those people because he just wasn't familiar with them, which I can understand that. Because when I first started watching the old WCW when Hogan joined, it's like, who's this guy? And that was part of, once you start to get familiar with people, it changes everything.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So he's been exposed to it a little bit, but you're exactly right. We've got the network. He was in bed during SummerSlam for part of it. He had to get up early. So the next day after school, he come home. He's like, can I watch SummerSlam? I'm like, yeah, knock yourself out. So he jumped on the PS4 and fast forwarded through what he didn't want to see and went right to the matches he wanted to watch.
Well, and what I think is right now as wrestling fans, and it doesn't matter what you like, with the internet, with all these streaming services, you can find something that makes you happy. I mean, I remember in the 90s when a friend of mine, his buddy worked for the cable company, and he'd come in with these ECW pay-per-views that they tape. And he goes, dude, you got to watch this. And, I watch Bam Bam Bigelow falling off the top of a balcony. And, And I mean, there was no easy way to get a hold of this stuff to see. You know what I mean? At that time, we were stuck with WCW and WWE. I mean, It was entertaining, but it was also kind of interesting to go, oh, really? And then later on, Scary Terry we've had on the show, he talked to me growing up in Cincinnati. He had ECW on, so he could watch it on his local channel. And he would talk about all the crazy things they do on regular TV. But up here, no ECW. They didn't carry it on any of the local channels. So that's why I think now it's so awesome, because if I'm not happy with what WWE's doing, who cares? I'll shell $9 and buy Ring of Honor, or I'll buy New Japan, or I'll flip on Twitch and see what's going on there. It doesn't matter. There's so many different ways to watch different federations that back in the day was all tape trading. That's how you got to see it. Now, I could sit down right now and watch 5 different matches from 5 different companies. No problem.
Well, and I love Twitter. Just getting on there when there's something going on like, PWG or Progress or any of these different independents that are kind of growing in stature, and there's always video clips of matches, and you kind of get the highlight, but you get highlights of things that you probably wouldn't see, of performers you wouldn't see, or when you do finally see them, they've changed their name, they changed their gimmicks, or you're seeing them as they're starting out. Well, I'll give you an example. Joey Janela had a thing in New York last weekend, and the current All In member that's going to be on 0 Hour, that Marco Stunt from Cape Championship Wrestling, that beat Flip Gordon, he had a match, and people were just going, when they first announced him, people on Twitter were like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Well, people started uploading video snippets of his match, and he's doing crazy stuff, which part of the credit goes to the guy in the ring with him, because he was making him look like $1 million. But it takes athleticism and skill to do the stuff he was doing.
Yes, it does.
So, that being said, it takes 2 of them, but if you don't know what you're doing, you can't pull the stuff off that he was doing. It was crazy things. Like, he did a leapfrog, and then he ended up on the guy caught him, and he stood up completely on the dude's shoulders, and then reversed that into like a code breaker. It was just crazy. You'd have to go back and look at it. That's a guy that all these people that were complaining about him were like, holy crap, I didn't know who this guy was. And, they're just ranting and raving because it's social media. Well, social media come to the rescue and like, hey, look what you're going to get. You're going to get exposed to more people. Yeah. And that's what I kind of like about this.
Well, and for those folks that are out there just trying, like the wrestlers themselves, trying to make it, holy cow, you can show off all your stuff in just one video and reach millions of people, and maybe even catch the eye of someone in one of the big companies right away. That's the other cool thing about it, is if enough people talk about you, you create enough of a buzz that they will actually look for you to bring you into their shows.
Look at the deal they have with Hot Topic, the Bullet Club. That has made those guys, I don't know how much money, but from them talking, it's been lucrative. Every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Marty Scurll's got another villain shirt out. I mean, it's like every time you turn around, he's got another product. And a lot of it is they've done it themselves. They didn't go to the big time. They started small, but like you said, all with social media. They pretty much made themselves their own corporation, promoted themselves, and they're reaping the benefits. And I think that's the coolest thing that anybody could do. That's what everyone strives to do when you first start off in the job market. You just want to get better and make more money. Well, that's exactly what these guys are doing.
The other thing is for the first time in 15 years since WCW went out of business, there's a real viable option that these guys don't need to sign with WWE. You know, they're doing very well on their own. And I kind of dig this, and I'd like to see this happen more so, but I love the fluidity of all the wrestlers. So, you know, 1 minute they're on a Ring of Honor show, then the next minute they're at New Japan. Some of these guys then are wrestling for Impact or smaller federations. I kind of dig that because it harkens back to the territories. And sometimes WWE's biggest problem is Vince and everyone has the idea of gobble up every bit of talent they can get. All right.
Right. Yep.
But there's only so many hours to do shows. And during that time, there's only so many people that can be on the air wrestling. And you have to put that person on the air every week to get them to a certain point of being over. So after 3 or 4 months, you're sick of seeing certain teams all the time. Now, if you let this ability to move from this one to this one to this one, it's harder for the wrestlers to become stale because, there's a brand new match I've never seen. There's somebody else wrestling somebody I've never seen. And I think that could be the cue or the one thing that could help people outside of WWE stay where they are if they have that ability to jump back and forth between different federations.
Oh, yeah. Well, just a month after All In's over, you have the Jericho Cruise in October.
Yep.
And they have a whole different lineup of matches. It's going to be Ring of Honor and Impact guys, but completely different matchups. You know, we're getting Okada and the villain Marty Squirrel at All In, and then you turn around and I think he's facing Sami Callihan or something like that.
Yeah.
Completely different matches. I'm with you. I love it. I love that they're able to jump back and forth. And I think it's great. Just, you know, like you said, you get tired of seeing the same old thing. I'll give you an example. You know, last month I took Cameron to Carbondale to the WWE house show. It was their SummerSlam tour, SummerSlam Live tour. Every match we saw was a SummerSlam. It was the exact same booking as SummerSlam. So we basically got the precursor to, you know, they're doing their run-throughs is what they're doing. They're doing the circuits, working on stuff for the main SummerSlam event. So we got Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. But everyone we saw that day, when SummerSlam rolled around, there they were, same match that we saw. I can remember some of those best of 7, best of 5 matches where you're like, this again? Do I have to see this again? You know,
and
so
I think that is,
exactly what you mean.
You're right. That's where it starts to become a big problem. You know, what do you do?
Yeah, that's just it. Well, if you're like me, you flip the channel.
As a fan, I will say this too. Those people who go to WWE events and boo and piss all over Roman Reigns or go on Reddit and bitch and moan about the quality of the writing is stale or whatever, I have no respect for them. Because instead of going in there and shitting all over the product, go find something else to watch. That's what I just think. There's no reason now for you to be upset at what's going on because I want it to be mine. Well, it's not yours. Things happen. As you grow up, the audience they aim at is different. They have to keep making money. So if all they do is cater to some 45-year-old wrestling fan, they lose everything. Everything. Right. So go find something you enjoy. Don't shit all over for the kids.
Yeah. They have way too much money coming in for them to worry about one section of the population.
I agree.
But tell you what, you know, earlier on, several episodes ago, I made the comment that I was ready to skip summer and get right to All In because I was that excited, which I'm still excited. I'm just glad I got to enjoy my summer. But, you know, I'm now to the point where a little over a week away from it actually happening. And I'm starting to get the butterflies. So I'm like, man, I can't believe it's almost here. I'm just pumped for this.
It's going to be fun. And you know what? We'll also make sure that while we're down there, we'll throw up some Facebook, some Twitter videos, tons of photos, because I have a feeling you and I are just going to be clicking. But we've got the meet and greets. We've got all the other events we're going to try to attend. And I know we're also going to be at Flip's All Out party. Now,
that's right.
Now,
you're all out.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't think we're going to make it in time for the autograph signing stuff, which I really didn't care about anyway, because I think they're going to do it the first 2 hours. I'm just going there because I want a cool T-shirt and just to kind of hang out. And by the way, too, Scary Terry sent me a message last weekend. He was at the Northern Rock Rally up north here in Wisconsin, and he sends me a message. He goes, ODB's here with her food truck. And he said
she's supposed to be there too.
He said it was awesome because I asked him, I said, tell me how the food is, man. I want to decide if I'm going to try it out or not. And he goes, try it, dude. He goes, it is awesome. She's really nice. And he goes, I try not to be that goofy fan. He goes, but he goes, it was really good.
Yeah, I heard that she was going to be there with the food truck. I did see that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, when it sold out that quick, you knew there was a lot of people interested. And then when they added the StarCast stuff and worked in conjunction together, it just blew up.
Well, the other thing is,
crazy.
I don't think people realize just yet how monumental this is for professional wrestling, because that's the thing. I mean, for an independent, 3 guys independently put together a show and do this well and bring aboard the podcasting convention, this is numbers that a WCW used to pull in, not without the show at the side. So this is big. And I mean, it helped propel Ring of Honor and New Japan to sell out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it was definitely a stepping stone, and don't be surprised if there's not an announcement for an All-In 2 shortly after this one.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. And I mean, if they do it on the East or West Coast, good for them. You know what I mean? I'm just glad that they did the first one here and gave us the opportunity to do it.
I totally agree. I can't wait.
All right. Well, like I said, we will post plenty of videos, updates on everything going on when we're down there. Keep listening. We may even have a special podcast from All In. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to click the subscribe button. You can catch us on iTunes and Android, and follow us on Twitter at UTRR Podcast. And Tom is playing like crazy with Instagram, doing all kinds of weird videos and stuff. So he thinks he fashions himself a gift maker, I guess. But check that out.
I wouldn't go that far.
I know.
Let's see what this button. It's more like, let's see what this button does.
Hey, whatever. Have fun with it. That's what I say. But anyway, we appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week from All In.
This is Mick Foley. You were listening to the Under the Ring Report. And if you don't listen, so help me out. I'll laugh pretty damn loud. Have a nice day.
Follow the Under the Ring Report on Twitter at UTRR Podcast. You can subscribe to the Under the Ring Report on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, or visit undertheringreport.com. Thanks for listening to the Under the Ring Report.